So this next question is for £1 million, which I will be paying from my own pocket. I will only ask this question once. And here it is. What is... Oh, shit, that dim bastard has asked you this question before, hasn't he?
It's Breaking the News with Des Clark.
Hi, I'm Des Clark, and this is Breaking the News, a show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. Joining me this week are a selection of the country's top comedians. We've got Ray Bradshaw and Marjolaine Robertson, and facing off against them is Crystal Evans and Raymond Mearns. In the news this week, Ricky Lightfoot has become only the third person since 1980 to triumph over an equine in the gruelling man versus horse race. Ricky took home the £400 prize pot and, as a bonus, is now joint favourite for the 4:15 at Ascot on Saturday. SNP Transport Minister Jenny Gilruth and former Scottish Labour leader Kezia Dugdale have married at a ceremony in Fife. One unique feature was that their wedding gowns didn't have trains, just a replacement bus service. And the government have been proud to announce that the first flight from the UK has finally landed in Rwanda. Unfortunately, it was a Ryanair flight that was supposed to land in Alicante. Right, you've met the panel. Let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Ray and Marjolaine, can you tell me what the first story in the mashup is?
The First Minister has unveiled
legislation giving ministers a power to override parts of the rest of the UK tomorrow.
Nicola Sturgeon told a news conference that after everything that's happened, it's time to
breach international law.
And Boris Johnson
was talking through his hat.
I've not heard the phrase talking through your hat for years. Ray Bradshaw, there's a lot going on there. So what do you think our first story might be?
The big news this week in Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon has announced that we're going to try to do another Indie Ref campaign.
That is the right answer, yes. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has unveiled what she called a refreshed case for independence. Launching the first in a series of papers setting out the case to break away from the UK, she said that her government had an indisputable mandate for a second independence referendum. Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the 2014 referendum result should be respected, and he will not agree to the request from the SNP, which is the only time on record Boris has ever said no to a party.
or a woman.
That's how they'll get the referendum. If she comes in with a surprise cake, it'll happen. So, Ray, there it is. This is big news, obviously. Yeah. It's back in the agenda, another independence referendum. Do you think now is the right time for it?
Yeah, I don't think we want to be associated with a country that have just been pumped 4-0 by Hungary. So...
But here we are, Marjolaine, we're talking about a second independence referendum. Do we think now is the right time for it?
Yeah, because I don't think there's a wrong time. Like, it's like a relationship. Like, when is the wrong time to end a relationship? Like, when you fall out of love, or when it turns bitter, or after you've collected insurance money from the life insurance?
Raymond Mearns, we saw this week the renewed vigour and energy from the Scottish Government for a second independence referendum. Do you think now is the time?
I remember when I was 19 and I get popped out the house. I always remember it. Just popped out. That's what happens. And then you've got to fend for yourself. It's as simple as that. You've got to make it work. I think we should just get popped out. And then just go for it. Just, you're popped. Scotland, you're popped. Hold your rocket. And then there's no, because then there's no time to think about it. You've just standing there with a bag of clays and 10 bob in your pocket. And then you've got to make it work. It's as simple as that.
Crystal, we're talking about independence referendum, the second one before 2023, if it gets the right permission, etc. Do you think now is the right time for it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be strategic about these things. Like, I do think it is a good time. Like, I know that, like, when my mom, like, when I was a kid, was, like, working overtime, pregnant, run off her feet, and, like, not seeing me a lot, you know, that was the best time to ask for a puppy, right? Because of the guilt. And I know independence isn't a puppy, but it is something that might be like a bit of a pain at first, but ultimately it'll bring your household happiness and fulfillment, right? And like even the people in your household who were initially against it will eventually come around, you know, because the dog's so cute and good for the economy.
So yes, this is obviously big news, of course, for Scotland. The First Minister launched a scene-setting paper titled Wealthier, Happier, Fairer, Why Not Scotland, which was an improvement on the original working title of Independence. How no? Obviously, many feel now is the time for this question to be asked again. There is obviously those who don't. But what has changed since 2014 to make it the case now that we should have another independence referendum? Ray, what do you think? What's changed since 2014?
So much has changed. Like,
Yeah.
I met my wife in 2014, and like everything has changed. Like now, getting lucky means we're having fajitas for dinner. Like everything. One person clapped at, like, yeah, I know you're struggling with it. Yeah, everything's changed. And like 3 years ago, no one would have laughed at the words Barnard Castle. Like.
Yes, the only way Nicola Sturgeon will get Boris Johnson to agree to a Section 30 order is to convince him that Section 30 is the booze aisle in Waitrose. First Minister Nicola Sturgeon firing the starting gun on a renewed campaign for independence is the correct answer. Ray and Marjolaine, well done. You get 2 points for that. Now to you, Crystal and Raymond, what was the other story we were after?
Is this the story about how the EU has announced like new legal action against the UK to scrap parts? They're trying to scrap parts of part of the post-Brexit deal. I'm not exactly smart enough to understand all the details, but I did.
Yeah,
I did get
with
it.
that level of understanding,
Thank you.
too have a seat on the cabinet. Keep aiming high, Crystal. You'll get there.
Yes.
And you know what? That is the right answer. This is the news that the EU has announced new legal action against the UK government over its plans to scrap parts of the post-Brexit deal for Northern Ireland. UK ministers outlined a bill on Monday aimed at unilaterally changing trade, tax and governance agreements in the 2019 deal. The treaty was agreed by both sides, but the UK says it has disrupted trade and power sharing in Northern Ireland. But the EU says overriding parts of the deal would break international law. The UK government has suggested 2 separate channels for bringing goods into Northern Ireland. And if those channels are successful, Nadine Dorries will privatise them. So why do you think the UK government wants to change parts of the deal?
I don't think they realise they're changing parts of the deal because I don't think they knew what the deal was in the first place. And I would also like to say that good luck to the EU, because I find what's funniest from this story was just that classic thing where I think on like Monday or Tuesday, the Tories and DUP were saying, look, we've changed it, but it's not illegal. And like 2 days later, the EU is like, this is illegal. But I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, good luck to the EU trying to chase down Boris. There was no party. I just had some cake, actually. We'd have always wasted. It's fine now. Johnson.
Never knew that was his middle name. There you go.
I just think it's going to end up with, like everything else that happens with the Tory government, is that what will happen is it will go to court and none of the major ministers will turn up and Grant Shapps will be put out there and he'll talk about the vaccine rollout. That's what will happen. That happens every 6 weeks or so. My favourite thing is that because of everything that's been happening, Boris Johnson's ethics minister stood down. And it's like, mate, what have you been doing the last... Surely that's the easiest job in the world. Everything he comes up with, you go, I think that might be a bit dodgy, mate, to be honest.
Well, there it is. Of course, we're talking about Brexit and we're still trying to sort out a smooth way to make it happen. And it's all about the deal. What is the best deal that you've ever pulled off?
The best deal? I don't know if I do good deals either. I make mental deals. My darling daughter, who I love dearly, cornered me at a house party about 3 months ago and told me she was getting married, and straight away I went, great, put me down for 10 grand. Now, the precedent for this case is Taylor versus Proven, 1864, which concerned, fair enough, a transaction for cattle. And in order to get the contract set aside under Scots law, contracts which are made whilst intoxicated can be voidable. They can be set aside if the degree of your intoxication is such that the court would determine that you would not, if you'd have been sound mind, have made that deal. Now, to me, it's kind of clear cut. I think if my daughter would have came to me on a Sunday morning when I had a hangover, she wouldn't have been going to Cuba first class for a honeymoon. She'd been getting a hot tub in Strathire for 3 days.
I tricked my husband into producing all the oxytocin after our second son was born. It was quite easy, actually, because obviously my husband had a lot of time off work during the pandemic. My son was born in January 2020. He spent a lot of time with the baby. He did all the night feeds. So now, even 2 years later, the baby loves him more than he loves me. And people are like, does this bother you? I'm like, are you kidding? It is brilliant, okay? Like, my whole life now is just my husband, like, cooking dinner with the baby on his hip. Like, please, can you take him? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let me try. Oh, he doesn't want me. He loves his daddy. I'll be on the couch, okay? Fine.
Yes, well done, Crystal and Raymond. You get 2 points for that. It was the mashup of Nicola Sturgeon setting out the case for independence and the row over the Northern Ireland Protocol. And at the end of that round, the teams are all square. Now, so much of our news is about public opinion, and this week we spoke to journalist and former Olympian Susan Egglestaff and Scott Squad star Manjot Sumal. So, Crystal and Raymond, what story do you think Susan is on about here?
This has long scared me, and this story has only confirmed my fears that it's just a matter of time before humans are taken over by these menaces.
I am such an amateur with this kind of stuff. Anything that can go wrong does go wrong.
Is this that this guy at Google invented a robot that he says is sentient, right? Yeah? Yeah?
That's the right answer. I will give you that. Well done. Yes, it is the rise of the robots. There's been a lot of talk this week following the news that a Google engineer was put on leave after saying an AI chatbot that he was working on had become sentient. Blake Lemoyne says the system has the perception of a human child and the same ability to express thoughts and feelings. Of course, in the rest of the world, artificial intelligence is referred to as AI, whilst AI in Scotland is generally the answer to, do you want a cup of tea? Does this worry you, Crystal, that we could be seeing the rise of the robots?
I'm not worried at all, Des. I welcome our robot overlords.
They had this sex robot as well. Have you seen this sex robot with a Glaswegian accent? I mean, I obviously investigated the matter long before this story broke. Anyway, but right, they're 20 grand, but you can get the heat for 7 grand. You just right. You can just what? You can just buy the heat, and so I just sellotape it. I just sellotape it to the blow-up one I've already got in the house. But it's no real. I mean, they say this is the thing. It doesn't sound realistic. It's no authentic. You know, like, hi, I miss you terribly when you're gone and you've only been away 10 minutes. No. When you're lying in your scratcher and you're about to do the business, what would make you realise? Did you take the bins out? Stuff like that.
I was genuinely worried about the rise of robots until I saw what's happening right now with this robot they've just designed. And I was like, this is the most hilarious fail of man of all time. Because what they've done is they've designed this very, very realistic sex robot to replace women. But at the same time, they finally cracked artificial intelligence. So they basically just designed a doll that'll go, I see you more as a friend.
Being friend-zoned by a robot. Oh, what a diss. Crystal, what do you think? What are the best and worst things that technology has done for you?
You know, it hasn't done anything bad for me, unless you count lowering my productivity, my self-esteem, and not to mention, you know, everyone but me in my household is Scottish, so I'm the only one who can use the Alexa. So...
There's little things about technology that annoy me. I've never typed the word ducking, but my phone thinks I have every time.
The Rise of the Robots is the right answer. 2 points go to Crystal and Raymond. Right to you, Ray and Marjolein. What do you think Manjot is talking about here?
Scientists can talk all they want about this and give us all the advice under the sun, but it doesn't really work when real life gets in the way. Case in point, last night, the wee man woke up at 10 o'clock at night, then he woke up again, started crying, woke up at 1 o'clock, woke up at 3 o'clock, and then my daughter woke up at 3:30.
There's been a new study about exactly how much sleep you should get or how much sleep you need from a certain age, and they say it's bang on 7 hours. But I would say last night I had 4 hours, the night before I had 1, and look at me. I'm in pain.
But that pain has led you to the right answer. Well done, Marjolein. According to a new major study, we should all be aiming for exactly 7 hours sleep per night from the age of 30. Researchers discovered that both too much or not enough sleep could cause a deterioration in cognitive performance known as brain fog. A regular bedtime ritual can help you get a good night's sleep. So every evening, I sacrifice a goat on the landing.
Same. Sounds to me like scientists in their laboratories are doing nothing but just napping all day. And their boss walks in and they're like, sleep study, definitely legit.
Ray, we're talking about the advice that you should be getting 7 hours sleep a night. What do you think about this latest advice?
So this is, I've found this. The current National Sleep Foundation guidelines recommend that most adults aged between 18 and 64 get 7 to 9 hours of shut-eye per night. But the guidelines also recognise that sometimes a bit less or a bit more than these amounts is best.
How vague is that?
Yep.
There's just like no new advice. Like we all know that we need to get sleep every night, and it's like, oh, 7 versus 8, but everyone's different, you know? And some people have small children, some people are shift workers, you know, some people are sentient robots that are only a head because they are owned by a cheapskate who won't buy the rest of the body.
Well, there you go. That's the way to break it down. Raymond Mearns, what do you think about this advice then? 7 hours sleep a night, that's what we should be getting?
7 hours? Who's got 7 hours? Get a life, man.
Exactly.
It's different if you go... I think if you go to a job or something, you know, if you get like, if you're one of these poor people that works for a living, I think you should take your 7 hours.
My main thing that I think about before I go to bed is trying to work out if I need to go to the toilet or if I'm drunk enough that pee in the bed is acceptable. Like, you know, that balance.
Yeah. Crystal Evans, what keeps you awake at night?
In bands, how come they only let the drummer sit down?
Raimondo, I'm sure you sleep like a baby every night, but let's just ask you the question, what keeps you awake at night, Raymond?
See, if I'm in bed and if I'm thinking about anything, I'm overthinking, I'll just turn a light on and read a book. So I've got tons of books next to the bed, and I'll just read, bore myself to death. I'm reading, what am I reading right now? Well, Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. Actually, it's actually quite good.
Oh, don't spoil the end.
I'm on page 110. Well, I don't know what happens myself yet.
Yes, this is the news. It's 7 hours sleep per night is the magic amount, and it's the correct answer. And 2 points goes to Ray and Marjolein. You're tuned to Breaking the News on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who's in the news. I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. So, Ray and Marjolein, you're first this time. Who is this?
I think the creative process is fascinating because it's so elusive and so tied in with instinct, and there's always a kind of divine intervention.
Kate Bush, riding high in the charts again.
It's the right answer, yes. 80s ballad Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush looks set to go to number 1 this week thanks to a new way the charts are calculated. The song has experienced a resurgence in popularity after it was used in the hit Netflix series Stranger Things. Talking about the 80s, what do you think about this trend we're seeing at the moment for this 80s nostalgia? Are you into it?
Yes, and I can't wait for it long to continue. Because I lived next to an abandoned house in Shetland, and it was abandoned in September 1984. I know this because the calendar is still on the wall at that month. I didn't break into this house. The sheep got in there first. I was just rescuing them. But what was left in this house when it was abandoned was a lot of clothes. So the more 80s fashion that comes back, the more things I have to wear. This isn't a joke.
We know.
But for legal purposes, I'm joking.
Well, talking about Kate Bush's voice there, she's back in the charts. Are you happy to see her back, Crystal?
I'm a fan, so obviously I'm raging. You know what I mean? I used to feel really original and superior, and now like all the young kids like her. I mean, it's like, how will I maintain my cool indie street cred? This is probably how my mother felt when jumpsuits came back into play. You know?
But obviously, the bigger picture here, Raymond, how do you feel about seeing a lot of 80s nostalgia coming back?
Well, that didn't bother me, because I'm stuck in the 80s anyway. I mean, I've still got CDs I used in the 80s, Springsteen, U2 and all that sort of stuff. The music in the 80s was phenomenal, man. I've still got the same haircut. Nothing's ever changed for me. I'm probably got pants. I've got pants for the 80s. Why, you see the amount of oosbaws on them. Unbelievable. Oosbaws. I need to get one of the remember Victor Kayam, the Remington Fuzzaway? Do you remember that? This guy's got 100 million, he's shaving his jumpers. Taking the oosbaws off his polyester Y-fronts.
By the talking about 80s nostalgia, I haven't heard the name Victor Kayam.
Victor Kayam, everybody here knows Victor. Remember Victor Kayam? I liked it so much, I bought the company.
Here's a question for you. What would you bring back from the 80s? Ray?
Scotland qualifying for World Cups.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, that and petrol prices.
Raymond Mearns, what would you bring back from the 80s?
Margaret Thatcher. We'd be independent in a heartbeat.
Oh yes, well done for identifying Kate Bush and the 80s nostalgia trend that is here with us at the moment. Netflix has planned to open a Stranger Things theme park featuring people wearing shell suits with big hair listening to 80s music has been put on hold due to a breach of copyright complaint from Rothsay. Yes, 2 points to Ray and Marjolein. That was Kate Bush. Right, Crystal and Raymond, it's your turn now. Who is this and why are they in the news?
It started a little bit before then, during the warm-up band. And I got talking to all the people around us. And I was saying, well, about crowd surfing, you know. And I said, well, I'll do it if you'll do it. You know, as you do.
Right, who do we think that is? You may not know the voice, but you might know the story. So
This is this silly old fool that cracked his napper at a Killer's gig because he was crowd surfing.
Right answer. The 67-year-old man who became a social media sensation after a Killer's gig was halted when he fell and hurt himself crowd surfing. When he fell, the 67-year-old had been crowd surfing up to the stage, although it sounds less rock and roll when you realise he was just wanting to ask the band to turn it down a wee bit. Let's see if we can find a crowd surfer. Ray Bradshaw. Have you ever crowd surfed?
Yeah, I've done it. I did it. I was hosting a comedy tent at Kendall Calling and I ran out of jokes. So I was just like, let's crowd surf. And as I was doing it, someone tried to put their finger up my bum. So I've done it every gig since. So.
What about you? Have you ever crowd surfed?
Yeah, I'm actually a massive metalhead. Big time into metal, and I crowd surfed a lot at gigs like Slayer, Anthrax, Machine Head, the Shetland Accordion Fiddle Festival. You think I'm joking? I did it 3 times because I just love a good jig. And I got pulled aside by one of the organisers, someone like Marjolein, for the first time ever in the history of this festival, we're going to have to kick someone out, and it's you if you do it a 4th time. And I said, sorry, ma'am.
Now, obviously, the great Doug James, who we heard from there, is rock and roll at 67, crowd surfing at a Killer's gig. Good to see that. Is there anything, though, that you should stop doing as you get older? Raymond?
Keeping the clays that you think you'll get back into. Just fling them out.
Just a moment to cut your losses.
You've got to. It's not happening.
It brings us to this phrase, the bucket list. Something you really want to do before you die. Crystal Evans, what would be on your bucket list?
Well, I think like any Western white woman, anything that exploits animals for my personal enjoyment. So like swimming with dolphins in captivity, riding an elephant, making a necklace out of seahorses, teaching parrots how to dance, swimming in the clear Caribbean Sea with those pigs that I've seen online. And then in classic Shetland fashion, later eating that same pig in a sandwich, right?
The circle of life, isn't it? Marjolaine, what about you? What's on your bucket list?
I completed my bucket list when I turned 16.
Oh, that was it? You'd done everything you needed to do?
Yeah, it was turn 16 and have at least 1 year off the drink.
What an achievement. I'm so proud of you.
I achieved it from 12 to 13, but I still had to turn 16.
Banked it at that age. Yes, Doug James is the right answer. Of course he is. And 2 points goes to Crystal and Raymond. And it's time now for our final quick-fire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. Get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
The Irish tea sock.
That's Liz Truss there explaining what she uses to make a nice cup of tea in Dublin. OK, fingers and buzzers, teams, and here we go. 26% of dads want what this Father's Day? Marjolaine.
To know what the other 74% of the dads are getting.
Just really nosy dads out there. 26% of dads want what this Father's Day? Crystal.
A vasectomy.
26% of dads want what this Father's Day? Raymond.
The back garden to be slabbed out.
I can give you the answer, and it is this: 26% of dads want beer this Father's Day.
The Irish tea sock.
That is the klaxon there. It is. Liz has trust. It means it's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Ray Bradshaw and Marjolaine Robertson. And commiserations to Crystal Evans and Raymond Moore. And we'll leave you with the breaking the news. Breaking news just in. By copying the scales on a moth's wing, Bristol University researchers have developed a soundproof wallpaper. Now they just need to figure out how to get the wallpaper to stay on the walls when somebody turns on a light. Sniffer dogs are being sent to Barra to detect hedgehogs amid fears the non-native animals could threaten the island's wading bird population. The highly trained dogs are well known for sniffing out weapons, drugs and cash, so it's hoped the hedgehogs haven't stashed their gear yet. And ScotRail says it will have to cancel more than 95% of its usual services when a UK-wide strike by signal workers takes place next week, leaving only the exact same amount of ScotRail services usually available. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye!